Welcome to the course introduction for MA Costume at Wimbledon College of Arts. I'll begin by briefly introducing myself. My name is Dr. Veronica Isaac, and I am the subject leader for the course. My interest in costumes stems actually from my time working with the costumes at the Victoria and Albert Museum in the former Department of Theatre and Performance, and was something I refined through doctoral research into the actress Ellen Terry. You see her amazing beetle wing covered dress here on the right hand side. And I've developed it further and I'm continuing to develop it through an AHRC funded project called Constructing Costume Histories, where I'm working collaboratively with Dr. Jade Halbert at University of Leeds and costume makers across a range of institutions to promote, document, and share the work of costume makers across the United Kingdom. But to talk to you about the course and why you'd want to study at Wimbledon College of Arts, we're incredibly lucky with the facilities we have on campus for the support of your design and your production. We have an amazing 3D lab where you can do metal work, woodwork, plastic work, etc., laser printing, 3D printing. The possibilities are endless and they're there to facilitate your work. We also have amazing costume facilities, our dye lab, and amazing dye specialist staff who work with natural dyes and synthetic dyes and breakdown. We have great research facilities for embroidery, including digital embroidery and specialist technicians who've worked in the fields of stage and screen, and also with hand embroidery at Royal School of Needlework. And alongside that, brilliant facilities in our atelier and our specialist studio for the course, studio space we have just for us, where we have industrial and domestic machines, industrial irons, eyelet machines, etc., and a great team of technicians ready to facilitate your development whilst you're here. Alongside that, we're part of a portfolio of MA courses, and I'll touch on this more when I talk about the course itself, but essentially you're part of a group of students all here to learn about performance making. So you might cross-collaborate with puppetry, theatre and performance design, theatre making, or even MA comedy, a new course coming on board this coming year. But why would you pick this one out of the group of MAs? Well, this is a course where we're hoping you'll come to either develop an existing interest in costume or take what you already have, maybe in performance design or art, etc., and apply it to the production and design of costume. It is a course where we look at the past, we look at the history of dress, the history of textiles, and use that to inform future-facing design and production. We're really interested in people who come from a broad range of backgrounds. We have people who come to the course with an existing experience in costumes specifically, but we have other people who are self-taught in their making skills and bring knowledge from history, English, computer science. We've had games designers, games art designers this year. Anything that seems relevant to the course, if you have a love of costume design and production and have developed your making skills and are keen to progress further, that's applicable to this course. We're really interested in developing you as an individual, but also in giving you space for collaborative research and practice, which is so core to production making. And what we want to produce are graduates with confidence in their own specific individuality and practice, who are really committed to the principles of climate, social, and racial justice in their practice. So that's a kind of core theme throughout the different units of the course, which I'll go on to discuss. The first unit is an exploratory and experimental unit. It's there to give you space to really start engaging in the focused and deep research that's required at master's level and that will help advance and inspire your making and production and make you a really individual and creative practitioner. We do a lot of work with 2D visual sources and translating specific elements of them into 3D form. And you're really encouraged within this first unit to enjoy experimentation, to engage with new and unfamiliar practices, or if you have an area you already really know you love, to refine and delve deeper into specializing in that form of practice. Maybe it's dye, maybe it's embroidery, maybe you just want to see what's possible with what's available to you in the 3D labs. And throughout this course and from the very beginning, we're laying foundations for your master's project and thinking about how we can produce an end result, an end graduate who's ready to develop their professional practice. This is an example of a piece from our first year of the course for Unit 1, where she wanted to engage with the story of someone who was of mixed racial heritage. And she basically produced an artifact that fused Western and African dress, in this case, a dire print, and really kind of foregrounded, but in a very subtle and nuanced way, this kind of blending of identities. And the construction was familiar to her. She'd done work with producing dress before, but she hadn't done dye work. So that print work was the new element she introduced to her practice. In Unit 2, we're thinking about how we can take what we know about the past and apply it to the future and advance the future of costume design and creation. And there's a real emphasis on representation, the environmental impact of the industry, and also inclusivity. Let's be honest, costume is not the most diverse sector, neither with the actors we see on stage and screen, nor the practitioners producing what they're wearing. So we really want to change that. And we're really interested in how you, as a practitioner, can advance and expand that story. So we do a lot of thinking about what the power of a costume is and how it can provoke and advance debate. And you're asked to produce an artifact that will be shared through a collaborative exhibition or event, and we'll define that output in consultation with you. And you have a really interesting opportunity during this unit to also think about how the wider applicability of your skills as a costume designer and maker. So you learn about textile conservation, and you get practical training in mounting textiles and garments for display. And you can think about what could you do with your skills beyond the costume industry or as well as. Unit 3 is going to change this coming year, and that's in response to student feedback. So what we're going to be doing is something far more collaborative. Cross-course discussion will be at the core of the unit, and something that really lays your foundations for your master's project, which will be the culmination of the course and comes in Unit 4. So this is your chance over a tight 4-week unit to really develop this idea of practice as research, which is a core theme throughout the course, but becomes the real central focus for Unit 3. So this is a course where we say through making, you are a researcher. Making is an academic skill and practice, and we really promote that. But what changes in Unit 3 is it's really about developing your practice in consultation with other courses in the MA program. So you'll be actively discussing and working with people from puppetry, from theatre and performance design, from the other courses, theatre and performance making. As part of this unit, throughout the session, you'll have core costume units, but also shared sessions with the courses that are part of the MA program at Wimbledon. And we've constantly had requests from students to really embed collaboration in the program. So this is going to be a focus at Unit 3. And that gives you space in Unit 4 to think about doing collaborative work as part of your practice, potentially for your master's projects. That's not compulsory, but it's something that's been very successful for other students. The core costume elements of Unit 3 you see exemplified in this piece here. And what we're encouraging you to do in Unit 3, alongside thinking about your master's project, is also thinking about refining your practice and experimenting with practice as research. So what this student did was think about different methodologies for recreating elements of a parasol. And that real focus on an object and a time period, in this case, she was telling the story of a specific moment in China, and this kind of cross fertilization between cultures through a specific object is really core to the course. We want deep, focused research happening at master's level. So to turn to your final unit and that kind of culmination of your time at Wimbledon, Unit 4 is about really establishing you and your individuality as a costume designer or maker, and introducing your work and your practice to industry. It focuses on a personal project which you'll refine throughout the course in consultation with myself and the other tutors you meet. And there's a lot of support with professional development throughout this unit in particular, but all the way through the course. It culminates in the presentation of your work in a show. And in this coming year, hopefully a collaborative show across all the MA courses. And it's a chance to really showcase your practical work and research portfolio to this bigger audience. We also try and build in events around this show to bring industry to see your work and give you that platform to really say, here I am, this is what I want to bring to the world. This is an example of one of the pieces that students produced in the first year of the course, and this was not only shared in a show at Wimbledon, it was also then displayed as part of a collaborative project with Glyndebourne Opera House. We are working with them again this year in 2026, and we are hopeful that we will either be working with Glyndebourne again in 2027 or an alternative partner. We have many in mind and on our list who we already have close links with. This piece was really about the student embracing her own background in carnival and thinking about how she could showcase the life of a really unknown and underrepresented figure, Chica de Silva, through this costume and bring her to a contemporary audience and bring her to attention. So if you do choose to apply for MA Costume, and we very much hope you will, there's not a really onerous application process. We ask for a short personal statement, and in that we're really hoping you'll tell us about you and why you're interested to MA Costume and what your ambitions are and how the course will link to and facilitate that. We do look for a strong portfolio, and what we're seeking in that is evidence of your ability or interest in design as a process and making. So we need evidence of your making ability, projects you've worked on and created, and a bit about your process. We're not expecting, in all cases, polished, finished designers or makers. You're here to progress on this master's course. And if you feel you're more drawn to design or making, indicate that in your portfolio. You don't have to be able to do both. You will explore both during the MA course. The video task is we ask you to use to talk about an element of that portfolio, a project that you showcase within that really inspired you or where you felt you learned something. And then that will be followed up, if you are invited to interview, by a short informal interview where we'll ask you about what you've sent in and about your interest in your course. And we will try and share indicative questions in advance of that interview so you know what to expect. But it's a very informal, unpressured conversation which we use to explore whether this is the right course for you, and you get the chance to ask me more about what you can expect from the course at Wimbledon. So just to follow up and give you a sense of what you have access to at Wimbledon and on this course, we very much embed the idea of talks from current makers and designers, including Wimbledon alumni, as a core part of the course. We want to help you start to build that professional network, and we invite those makers and designers to all our public events so they get to see your practice and you get to meet with them. I'm very keen to facilitate collaboration with external performance venues. That's what we're doing with Glyndebourne this year, and we're talking with other potential hosts going forward. And we don't just develop your costume design and making skills, we also help you think about filmmaking as a practice. We do a lot of work with the moving image team. So you can think about stop motion as a practice. You can think about producing really strong reels of your work and really clear, crisp photography of your practice. So you have a great portfolio when you leave the course. And as I've emphasized in Unit 3 and throughout the course, we really want to give you space and opportunities for collaboration across the postgraduate community. Some of the most exciting master's projects have been collaborative. For instance, last year, one student produced a short film which was rested on collaboration across the BA and MA community. Her actors, her supporting makers, her film editors, etc., all came from within the collaboration, the community at Wimbledon. And we have really strong careers and employability team at Wimbledon. We're so fortunate, and they work with you across all the different units and deliver content which helps you think about how do I take what I'm doing academically and relate it to the professional world, and how do I develop my professional networking skills and make myself ready to enter that industry when I leave. And they support you after you leave as well. There are so many careers you can go into with this MA. The obvious ones are the costume making and designing, but there's also research skills that you gain through the course that you could use as a way to generate income and build your portfolio. Many of my students are entering the industry through work as dressers and even doing that during the course. It's a great way to learn about the pace of theatre performance. And then there's also the opportunity for museum-based roles. Like I said, you get trained in object mounting, etc. Other people have ended up finding out that they're more of an artist, and this is developing their artistic practice. And I've got several people already thinking about further study and doctoral research, and there's really strong support for that and potential for that at UAL. There are scholarships available. They are merit-based and means-tested, and there are a limited number, but they are available for those who are interested in investigating further. You need to look at the UAL web pages about them, and there are contact details and further information there. And then just finally, I do encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and see our social media content, because it's been a really great way to share some of the work that the MA students are doing. And if you look back through, you'll see some of their work at Glyndebourne and their show from last year and their continuing practice now. If you have any questions, do get in touch with us. You can see a contact address here, and my contact email is available on the UAL website. We look forward to hearing further from you. Thank you so much for listening.